Live stream. Mm. Shoot, I forgot to fill my water while I walk. All right, hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic edition of Racers News Network Live. As you know, the season is slowly but surely kicking off here in the Northeast and in the Mid Atlantic area. So when I say Mid Atlantic, that of course means that we are going to talk to Rob Keister from the Mid Atlantic Super Series. He's got a lot to talk about tonight, including, I believe, you have a name change too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again, Chris. As always, a pleasure to be on the show with you guys. Looking forward to the 2026 season. My God, 16th season as president of some sort of series, either Super Comp or Super Gas or Super Street or Juniors or so whatever. I don't know. I told people at the banquet 2 weeks ago that I'm really shocked that nobody's put me in a straitjacket yet, and confined me to.
It's still early.
Yeah, 16 years though. That's there's I probably if you could bring back some of the Wheels Up Radio, um, old episodes where it was, I would love to see how non-gray my beard was probably back in that time. Um,
I actually went on, it's funny you talk about that. I went on a couple weeks ago and searched Blog Talk. They went out of business.
that I think we actually talked, and I and I know we got a lot to get to, but I think we actually were. We were talking about this in a message, me and you back and forth about how much of a pain in the rear end that soundboard used to be when to host Wheels Up Radio. I mean, it was such a pain in the rear end of having to mute this person and play this commercial and then bring this person back on and then having if you had a guest to make sure to put them in a waiting room and it was a nightmare. I hated I almost hated when when you would be like, "Hey Rob, I need you to run the board tonight," and I'd be like, "Oh God,
Anything but that.
yeah, yeah, I'll be your guest, no problem, or I'll come on as your co-host. That's no problem." But man, running the board, man, that was oh man, that was such a nightmare. It was such a craziness. But yeah, yeah, 16 years been doing this. Not as long as some of the presidents, previous presidents. Dave Lay with the Stock Super Stock Series did it for 30 plus years. Um, uh, I'm trying to think. Not sure how long. I'm not sure how long some of the others did it, but I mean, yeah. Got a lot going on this year. A lot going on for the series. You did mention a name change. We decided. I actually had a conversation with. It was just a quick conversation with one of your good friends, Lauren Cottrell Lowe, and we were talking about the top dragster series that she runs up in New England Dragway area, and we got talking, and one of the topics that came up was especially with the new seat belts that they had with the 6 point and the 7 point harness that they had going on with that, and how like they weren't able to really get the amount of cars that they were really hoping to get. And we got talking and stuff, and I knew that they made a name change last year to I believe Pro Dragster instead of Top Dragster. And I asked her how it was going, and she told me that they had seen probably about a 50% increase in their participation because the Top Sportsman Top Dragster name kind of scared a lot of people away because there's a lot of guys out there who have advanced ET license, but one of the things was you had to have the top sportsman license to feel like they had to run that type of series. So what it was, and changed it to pro dragster, and they saw like a lot of the bracket guys who were fast cars that would go maybe 460s 470s in the eighth mile came on board, and they were seeing car counts going from like 16, 17 cars to 40, 40 plus. And I decided, kind of met with Melissa Cox and Ron Regal, who are now, they are like part of our board for the series, um, to basically, you know, go over what we think that how can we get car counts? Because Cecil County, yeah, I mean, we get great car counts in Cecil County, but we go to like a Mason Dixon, we're lucky if we get 8 or 9 dragsters. And speaking to a lot of the Mason Dixon regulars that run there, basically what they said was, hey, we're kind of scared of that top dragster name. So hopefully the pro dragster, pro door slammer name will hopefully, uh, garner some newer guys who want to come and play, maybe some bracket guys that want to come out and play with us. Um, we have a killer payouts this year, for both. We went back to the drawing board when it come down to payouts, and I mean, yes, they are prorated based on 32 cars. But hopefully we get 32 cars. So like pro dragster, if we get 32 cars, it'd be $3,000 to win. Pro door slammer would be $3,500 to win for 32 cars. We have a lot of great sponsors that came on board for the pro door slammer series. Bob Caldwell, Mike and Larry Graffis of Hoffman Marina, Poor 15, Richmond Transmissions, John Richmond, who was our champion this past year. They came on board. So even if we don't get 32 cars, that sponsorship money rolls into the pot. So that's one of the things. We have a $200 bonus if you are the number one qualifier for dragster or uh, um, door slammer. It's going to be a little bit to actually get used to saying those names, but $100 if you're the number one qualifier. So that kind of hopefully brings some of the fast guys out to come play also. In the door slammer portion, Hoffman Arena's putting up $100 if you go 000 in eliminations, and John Richmond's throwing up money, and then Lucine Payne, who's a regular at Mason Dixon's, throwing up $50 for the best losing package in first round. So, there's little bonuses there for everybody. That even if you don't win the race, you can still hopefully go home with a little bit of money in your pocket, because we all know right now, yeah, diesel prices and gas prices are climbing, and I think people are definitely going to be picking and choosing where their racing is going to be in 2026. Because it's going to be, I don't see an end in sight, and I think it's going to be tough for, especially when you get a diesel motorhome and it gets 6 or 7 miles a gallon, and paying $6 a gallon is going to be tough for a lot of people.
Just out of curiosity, what have you seen for fuel prices in your area?
As we went out to dinner last night, it was $5.99 diesel, $4.17 for regular. So since my last time on Racers News Network, some of you may have seen my Facebook post. I was involved in a accident, and they ended up totaling my Cherokee that I had at the time. So I ended up getting a brand new Jeep, a 2023 Jeep Wrangler. And last night I was at a quarter of a tank, and since I drive into Philly for work, I filled it up, and that was $60 for, I think it was 15 gallons. I think it was. It was. Oof. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I cringed when he gave me my receipt after filling up. I was like, oh, it's like, yeah, that hurt.
Start doing what I do. Gets to a half a tank, fill it then. Then it doesn't psychologically hurt as bad.
Yeah.
But then, granted, then you'll be getting gas like every other day. But
yeah, well, the thing is, I have to travel to Philly 3 days out of the week. So for me, it's a 80-mile round trip from my house to Philly, and back home. So the Jeep only gets, I think, 16 or 17 miles a gallon. So yeah, it burns through that gas pretty quickly. So it's been a. I kind of told my boss. I kind of told my bosses, listen. I said, if you want to cut back my days coming in the office, I would be greatly appreciated. That maybe if it's 1 or 2 days a week until gas prices go down a little bit, that would be wonderful. Because yeah, they got this thing called expensive hobby called racing that we have to go. We have to do this year. So
Bet they love that.
yeah, we just actually had a retirement for 16 people today, so it's gonna be a ghost town inside my office moving forward. So had a lot of people who had and unfortunately they really didn't really replace them. So it's gonna be some crazy times in the next couple of months. So
Fun, fun, fun. All
yeah,
right, let's talk racing schedules.
yeah. So let's see. So originally our schedule was we were going to be going. So I had this master plan, of course, as always, that it would be great to go back to Maple Grove the weekend before the Lucas Oil race. And so I talked with Shane, who's the general manager at Maple Grove. We got the date all set, got it on board, and such. And then I reached out to a lot of, I sent a survey out, and everybody knows that at the end of the year, asking, what are things that we can do better? What are things that you guys would like to see come, next year? We do a Survey Monkey, and we take those surveys and we, dissect them. I mean, some things are beyond our control. Some things are things that we can change. Um, as I've said before, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I make mistakes. I screw up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's times when we put a new rule in place, and maybe there's a miscommunication between me and Dana, and we allow one thing to happen and it shouldn't have happened, and we don't find out. I mean, we unfortunately had an incident at Mason Dixon where I didn't find out until I was on the Pennsylvania Turnpike on the way home that something happened and stuff. So it's sometimes, let's listen. If this was my full time job, I could definitely say uh, you know, screwed up. But
Right,
the full
right.
I have a full time job and a part time job, and then the series is my third thing there. So you know what? There's times when I miss something, whatever it is, but we thought it would be a great idea to have the Maple Grove, so everybody can leave their stuff at Maple Grove for the following weekend's Lucas Oil race. Needs to say, Maple Grove decided they were going to switch series or switch sanctioning bodies the day after we announced our schedule. And Chris, you were the one who actually broke the news to me because I just got off of work and you sent me a message going Maple Grove's IHRA, and I'm going, what? Like April Fools. And you're like, no, it's true. And I'm like, no. He goes, and you were like, check out check out IHRA's Facebook site now. And I'm like, oh, oh, SHIT.
Crap, yeah.
All right. Well, then, of course, just like everything else, just like when ACO, announced that they were closing. My phone, my email, my text messages, my Facebook messages blew up like it was the New Year's Eve night. And what's going on with this? What's going on with your race? What's it, this? So, of course I had to go get answers. And luckily enough, we're still keeping that date, which is May 16th to 17th. Racers need to have the IHRA switch over. They are taking NHRA chassis certs for this year, so 2026. They are keeping. You're going to be able to have NHRA chassis certs if you want to run an IHRA race. So, but you do have to sign up for the IHRA membership, which I believe is 110, and then depending on what class you want to run, it's an additional, I think, $40. So it's like $110 membership, and then if you want to, like, whatever class you run is $40, and then additional classes is like $40 also. So I did mine; it was $150. to sign up for it. And it's a 1 year. I think it's a 1 year license for right now. And then 2027, they're going to require you to have IHRA chassis cert. And Marty Reinhardt, who is part of the division, I guess we call it the Division One or Northeast Division team for IHRA, is going around and doing chassis certs. He just did one at Maple Grove, I believe, last week, or doing one next week, or something along the way, and such. So you will have to have an IHRA license and membership to run the event in May, and such. Now, the Triple Crown race that they're having the weekend after, there's not going to be any sportsmen there. It's going to be strictly a pro type event. So they'll have their top fuel funny cars, alcohol, and stuff. And then, of course, most of us that run Northeast Division and NHRA will be at Cecil County, because Jimmy and Chad were nice enough to pick up the division race on Memorial Day weekend, along with the Sports Nationals. So after that, then we go to Mason-Dixon, June, I think 13th and 14th, or I'd look at my calendar real quick here. I think it's pretty sure it's June 13th and 14th. Yep, 13th and 14th will be at Mason-Dixon for the race number 3 and 4. I want to give a big shout out to the Elmer. Elmer went through some health issues the last week or so, and it's on the mend and hopefully doing better. So we're sending thoughts and prayers out to Elmer, that hopefully he gets back to his chipper old self, and and back to busting people's chops and things like that. And then we go to a new track for us for the series, which is MIR, which is Maryland International Raceway, and that's July 11th and 12th. And a lot of people wanted me to get MIR onto the schedule. The Phillies just hit a home run, as you hear my father screaming downstairs. So July 11th and 12th, we're at MIR, Maryland International Raceway. Roy so far has been great to deal with. Looking forward to them hosting us. They will also have what is the East Coast Index Series, which is a new series with the index racers that were part of the Northeast Index Series. They kind of spawned off and formed their own series. So they'll have 8th mile racing. I think it's like 450, 50, 550, 60, 6. They have like 4 or 5 classes that they're running with that. And then we'll have our normal stuff also. And then, of course, we go to Cecil County for the pig roast, August 8th and 9th. Great event, as always, put on by the Donhausers. Got to have breakfast with them last weekend on that Sunday of the banquet. So that was a good time, getting back in touch with them and stuff, and maybe looking at changing the pig roast 2027, just because of the heat that and the time of the year. And last year was brutal hot. I mean, it was just unbearable hot. I mean, but hopefully we either don't have rain or it's a nice and cool day out. So and then we close it all up at Mason-Dixon on September 12th and 13th. So we'll go to Mason-Dixon twice, Cecil once, MIR once, and Maple Grove once. And then for my junior kids, we all know when Maple Grove and VMP switched over to IHRA, that kind of didn't allow them to go. They could still go to Bristol for the East Coast Junior Finals and also Lebanon Valley for that, but they wouldn't go as a team. And that's a big thing with the Bristol thing, is going down as Team Maple Grove or Team Virginia or Team whatever. So we formed a team last year. We had sent 10 racers down to Bristol, and we had a good time. Me and Dana went down to Bristol and got to see the track and all the festivities and stuff like that. So Jimmy and Cecil was nice enough to allow us to go once again as Team Cecil County, Team Mid-Atlantic Junior Series. And unfortunately, because the pig roast being August 8th and 9th, that kind of wouldn't allow us to form a team under Team Cecil County. So Dana went to work with Jimmy. So we actually have a race coming up this Saturday, April 4th. and then one in May 30th, I believe it is, at Cecil, and that will form our teams for Bristol, and then the pig roast will form the team along with these two events for Lebanon Valley um, bracket finals. Yeah, a lot going on. Um, we we split our junior age groups this year. Used to be everybody ran all together, and then when we kind of combined them all under one umbrella at 8 cars or less. This year we did 6 to 12 and 13 and up, and glad to have ATI Performance Products come on board as our primary sponsor, 8JCBD, and they're actually doing contingency for all of the series this year. So if you run a converter or a transmission, there's contingency up there, cash money for you guys. And if you run the um, junior damper that ATI came out with, there's a $75 contingency if you win the event and run the junior damper that they introduced. So ATI is on board as a primary sponsor for us for that, along with a couple other sponsors. I'm gonna take a breath here. So,
Now you also had your banquet
yep,
last week.
yeah. Surprised it's shocking that it's already a week and a half past the banquet. It's a lot of prep that goes into that banquet between doing videos and getting tables set up and getting all the head counts and the last minute head count people. The people that call you on Friday at 10 a.m. Hey, can I get some tickets? Hey, can I get how do I get on? How do I get on the thing? Just when you think you have everything prepped and ready to rock and roll, somebody calls up and wants to add 2 people to their list or and such. So yeah, we had an awesome time. We had 144 people, I think it was. It was a little down from last year, but that's a lot of it was with Galat going on. A lot of racers that usually run the series went down to Galat. Of course, Keith went down there and kicked everyone's rear end and super rod and won the event. So I'm sure that $5,000 that he won was a little probably better than the having to give a championship speech. But in Keith fashion, he he did a video for us, and it was it was in the crazy Keith fashion as it is. So, um, but yeah, I mean, we had fun as always. Give away, you know, lots of awards and had a lot of fun. I mean, that's what it's about. Is the banquet is, you know, I'm I like the banquet. I like doing the banquet and stuff like that. Sometimes it's a lot of prep for only 4.5 hours of a lot of work. So
Of entertainment, yeah.
yeah, but I went to plenty of Division 1 banquets before, and it's nice getting people come up to me and tell me how much fun they had and how much they enjoyed this banquet, compared to other banquets they've been to. We try to make it fun. That's the thing. I mean, I get it. I mean, sometimes sitting through 7 people talking about their season and their history and things racing, and some people I had to tell them, listen, this might be the first championship they ever win. It might be the only one they ever win. So hey, if they take 20 minutes to get up there and thank their mom, dad, their kindergarten teacher, you know let them let them roll. I'm not
Right.
like the
Absolutely.
not gonna be like the Gong Show and have a big old thing and
Have the big hook,
yeah,
the sheep hook.
pull them off the stage when when they're sitting there talking and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, we have a great time, and and before I know it, the season will be here before we know it, and before we know it, the season will be over, and I'll be prepping for next year's banquet. So, it's like it's an endless cycle. So,
Very cool. Very cool. Now, before we dive into something I wanted to I wanted you to talk about
oh boy.
because I saw your post, but I honestly don't remember everything about it. How about your sponsors for your for your series?
Well, we mentioned that ATI is a great sponsor on board. They come on board for the junior series, so it'll be the Mid Atlantic Junior Series presented by ATI Performance. The sponsors for the Pro Junior, Pro Dragster, and Pro Door Slammers. We have Poor 15. We have Meredith Janke. Everybody knows Bill Janke's widow. She is actually putting up $100 for the #1 qualifier in the Pro Door Slammer series, along with Poor 15. So it's, once again, it's $200 each for Pro Dragster or Pro Door Slammer. Hoffman Marina, the Graffis family, Bob Caldwell, Richmond Transmission, John Richmond. And then I'm still working on some more, always constantly working to try to make that a good series. The .90 cars will be a 32 cars, is $2,000 to win. If for some reason, like I said, $2,000 to win, and that Fuel Factory, as we can see, I am rocking my new sweatshirt that I got for winning the Super Bowl guessing pool. They just signed a 3-year extension with us. So thanks to Mark, the Tedesco family, and congratulations to our buddy Dave Mars and Sue Mars, who are old members of the series, who now live down in South Carolina, I believe. And Sue won Super Street, Dave won Super Comp and Super Gas at the Carolina National Open this past weekend. So there was a clean .90 portion. I'm hoping Mark gave Dave and Sue a day off, because, man, I would be tired running 3 cars and winning. Winning in all 3. That's quite an accomplishment for them. So big kudos to Dave and Sue for doing that. So so once again, Fuel Factory signed a 3-year extension with us. So told Dana at the banquet she's stuck with me for at least 3 more years. Stock and Super Stock, we have Oaks Landscaping and Pete Cycles. Shane Oaks and John Leach of Pete's Cycles on board said if we get 32 cars in the stock Super Stock combo, it's $2,000 to win. And then I think that's pretty much it. We have a lot of associate sponsors who come on board for the .90, Delhaven Service Center, Trailblazing Designs, tons of Muller Automotive, Dave Muller, who of course redid the whole entire trailer over the off season and gave Dana a bigger window, so I can stop listening to Dana complain about her small bathroom window. But we did make some changes too. We switched it up from a ladder first round to random pairs. This way, if somebody cannot make a time shot, if they can't make a time shot for whatever reason, we're allowing a cleanup run also in there, and that also will allow, if for some reason you can't get a run on your car, you don't actually, because some people gotta, you have to go light the tree. If you light both bulbs and the tree comes down, that's how that automatically puts you onto a ladder. And what happens is if you break up in the staging lanes or the burnout box or whatever it may possibly be, you don't get included on that ladder unless we manually put you on there. So now, with it being random pairs first round, you don't make a run on first, you don't make a qualifying pass, you get there late, you oversleep, and whenever you can roll in for first round and run whoever you want to run. So there's no having to see what a ladder, if you have to run somebody, we go to a ladder second round now. So that will hopefully alleviate a little bit of aggravation on us, because we had some issues last year and stuff. So hopefully by going to random pairs, it will now alleviate that issue. Like I said, we're going to 4 classes or so, and then I am also going to be helping out with the Dutch Classic at Maple Grove as a consultant for the working with Shane with the Dutch Classic to try to bring the Dutch back to its back to its glory, I guess you'd like to say. And we're working on some different things. And we're trying to bring it back because we know the Dutch was a big stock and super stock deal, and the .90 classes kind of fell off a little bit. The top sports and top dragster classes fell off a little bit. So we're trying to make that, back to where it used to be. And hopefully we'll have some news in the next upcoming weeks or so. Like I said, we're working on we're throwing a lot of stuff up against the wall and see what sticks and what doesn't stick and stuff. But trying to actually make it more of kind of a working man's Dutch Classic, where it's not that you have to take 7 days off to try to run the full Dutch Classic, and actually kind of make it for the most bang for your buck. So hopefully you'll see some news in the near future with the Dutch Classic and stuff. So on to
So
your
you kind of stole my brainwave on that one, because that's where I was going.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So
Now, oh, go ahead.
like I said, we're trying to bring the Dutch back to where it used to be. I don't, me and me, Marty Reinhardt, Josh, and Shane all had a Zoom meeting probably about a month now ago, whatever it was, this before Galat happened, or it was, and we kind of threw some stuff up against the wall. What do we think would bring the Dutch back to its glory? Of course, stock, super stock class is what everybody wants. In the stock, super stock world. You know so it was more or less like, how do we get more .90 cars, to the track? How do we get more top sports and top dragster cars to the track? So we're we're gonna we've thrown some stuff up against the wall. We're kind of seeing what's going to work, what's not going to work. So hopefully in the next hopefully in the next couple weeks or so, I mean, we'll have something to announce at least.
Do you think that it not having a Wally will be somewhat gloom and doom?
Um, I think you're gonna have your Wally chasers no matter what. I mean, it's a tough nut to crack. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I've you would figure somebody would put up $12,000 or $10,000 to win in an eliminator. You would have cars bashing down,
Knocking down the gates, yeah.
and you really didn't get that type of car counts that you hoped that you were going to get. And then like a following weekend you would have a Lucas Oil race, which was like $2,000 to win, and a Wally, and the car counts were 30 cars more than what you had for you know and I think a lot of it, and I had a discussion with somebody at the banquet about this, is that, and I'm not meaning to rub anybody the wrong way on this, but I think we've honestly forgot that this is a hobby. Drag racing is a hobby. It's something that we work all week long, at our jobs, dealing with a lot of BS at our jobs that, on Friday we can cut out for half a day, or we can, get out at, early, or get out at 5 o'clock where it was, and head to the racetrack and sit down with our friends and have a nice dinner and a few cocktails, and tell stories about, this and that and what was else. And then Saturday and Sunday we end up racing. And I think to some people it's turned into a lot of chasing the money type thing, and some people the money doesn't matter to them. And it's a tough nut. It's a tough nut to try to really decipher which way to go. I know ACO closing hurt a lot of people, especially in this area. A lot of people, like, Pete was saying, Pete was saying, hey, he still has Lebanon Valley, he still has New England, he still has other tracks to go to. I mean, ACO for me was 30 minutes from my house, and there's hasn't been a replacement for it. For me to go to Cecil County, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Now I know for some people that's not a big, to do, but for racers, where it was sometimes, you want to turn that Cecil County trip into a weekend event. You don't want to turn, and then they also don't have a bracket series either. So Maple Grove is really your only chance if you want to run brackets around here, unless you're going to New Media, which New Media has a great racing program up there and a great bracket program. But it's one of those things where you kind of keep your trailer up at New Media, or you keep your operation up at New Media, and then you just, you take a car down for, for your weekend type things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think sometimes we kind of put the money thing in front of having fun and realizing that there's more to life than um than that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm rambling on here. So
Now, obviously, I assume IHRA is on board with trying to bring the Dutch back to its glory days.
yeah, yeah. Josh, who is their tech director, he will be there with a full trailer, with fuel check, with weight check, with everything that they have. So um, there's not going to be any corners cut when it comes down to stock and super stock class runs. They will be there checking everything to make sure that things are legit. Marty will be there also, and who knows who else they may bring on board in the next couple months or so. But like I said, I mean, we're trying to, we're just, me and Shane have a good, dealing with each other. And, he reached out to me and says, how can we get more .90 cars? How can we get more top sports and top dragster cars to the Dutch? And I told him, I said, I think we have to make it almost to a point where it's um, it's worth the tow. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's worth the tow for racers to come to go there. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And I think for the longest time, the Dutch was a super stock show, and
Mm-hmm.
still is. I mean, everybody still loves
That was like the draw for that, even though everybody showed up.
yeah. I mean, I remember going to the Dutch as a kid. I mean, you would have 70 super gas cars show up and 80 super comps. In fact, actually, back, if anybody remembers, the Supercom series that we have now, they used to settle their championship at the Dutch Classic. The Dutch Classic was part of their um of the Dutch. So I don't know how they used to do it. I don't know if they, if I guess maybe that had a lot more members at the time, or only the members would show up, or I don't, I really don't know how they how
Right, right.
those. If it was just one of those things where they took it, hey, 90 cars showed up, only 30 of them are our members, and we figured out points, that way. I'm not sure. I mean, back, there was Jim Amos made a couple CDs for me back in the day, and it was the old competition photo Supercom circuit, and we used to play it when we were at the trailer sometimes, and there's some classic looks there, some mullets and and Jerry curls and stuff going on. But we joked because it was like one of the things said, he came on there and says, well, the Mid-Atlantic, or the competition photo Supercom circuit, started off on a Friday night at 7580, and then on Saturday it went to Mason Dixon, and on Sunday it went to US 13 in Delmar. And I'm like, I was like, wow, like they literally traveled the 3 tracks over the weekend. I said, getting these guys to stay for 2 races at one track is tough now. So I was like, and you had Mark last weekend. You have Mark from US 13 on last weekend, or last week, with the show, and the series used to go there. The Supercom series used to go there also, and we tried with Mark. We tried to do a race there, but I think if we did a race at US 13, it would have to be an 8th mile uh, type event. And I'm not against that. I'm not against but once again, you start to go down that slippery slope of the quarter-mile people and the 8th-mile people, and we all know, how the internet can be. So I'm not sure if I'm ready for the 8th-mile only event where we know the people that were causing a big fit this big fit uh, this off season when IHRA decided that that they were only going to do an 8th-mile type event. So, but yeah,
Get you a flak jacket.
yeah, yeah. One of the things I did want to bring up, there's a great article, and you may want to post it if you haven't seen it already. It was about on the, I think, 25th of March, and it was by Bobby Bennett of Competition Plus, and it was about how social media has uh, greatly influenced drag racing, and now it also is strangling it to death. And I read the article, and there was a couple quotes that made me laugh. Um, and it's honestly true. And he dissects it all the way down. He dissects it from the good about how this used to be. Social media is a great thing to get people who are like low budget type cars to get their names out for sponsors and stuff like that. Then you also have the point where, like, he dissected where he talked about Dale Creasy Jr. winning funny car at Galat, the IHRA race. And of course, the keyboard cowboy's got to get on there and basically bash his win, basically saying that, well, he didn't race anybody. He didn't run anybody. He wouldn't even qualify for an NHRA event or was. It's like you take the glory away from a guy's win, guy that almost lost his life in a funny car wreck, and now the guy wins, and it should be a great thing, and everybody should be praising him. And it's like social media is like destroying this guy because of people and things, and it's a shame. It really is. And it's like I told people at my bank last weekend, come talk to me one-on-one. If there's a problem, there's an issue, there's something, or it was, come talk to me one-on-one. And if I blow you off, you have every right to go to social media and bash me or was. But you know
There was an article, and I believe you commented on it a few weeks ago about a woman down in Division 2 who just got absolutely, not literally destroyed, but emotionally beat down by some people. And she went online and said her opinion. I think you know the one I'm talking about, right?
if I remember, I think it was Kelly Kondratic. Kelly Kondratic won the Gainesville.
No, that one I didn't. That one I did not see. I believe she is or was a D2 employee.
mm, yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, but I remember the Kelly Kondratic one too, when she got a few hate messages for winning winning a race. I mean, it's like, come on, guys. It's like, you know, I, I just, I don't know. Sometimes I really don't. And um, eh, everybody should be, you should be proud that it's a tough sport. It really is. And to win a national event, I mean, something that we all strive to do. We all strive to. That's the plateau. That's the thing. We want to put that Wally, and especially now, you want to put that 75 75th anniversary diamond crystal Wally up on your thing, because there'll never be another one for at least 25 more years, or whatever they decide to do for 100 years, and it's one of those things where it's like everybody should be praising, not praising, but at least, like giving you, congratulations, good job, man, busted your butt, whatever. But it's like some people just, it's tough to give congratulations to people. And I mean, I get that sometimes from some. Like, I don't understand why you always got to praise people that run in your series who do good at a Lucas race or do good at national, because it's good to give a little bit of a praise. It's good to at least give them a hey, good job. congratulations. You busted your butt for 6 rounds or 7 rounds or 8 rounds or God knows how many it was, and you're going home with the trophy. I mean, not some people don't really, some people it's second nature. You get like Dan Fletcher. I mean, 109 wins. I mean, we all strive to be Dan Fletcher, and win 109 wins. But I got one volley down. I got one volley downstairs. I mean, it's great. I look at it every so often. I mean, it's awesome. It's a great feeling. I mean, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I remember it was an article from, I can't remember who it was, but it was a Division II.
Yeah, Steve said it was a D2 employee.
Yeah, and
I
it was
I
about,
don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember reading the article
yeah. I remember
or
reading,
the post. I mean,
how hardworking, the days are at the racetrack, and you're the first one at the racetrack, and you're the last one to leave at the racetrack, and you're the next day when everybody's sleeping in, you're the first one back at the racetrack, and you're scraping a racetrack or getting the computer system set up or whatever else, and it's like you know uh, sometimes just going down and just giving, they may laugh at you, but sometimes just going up to them, say, hey, thanks for having us. Thanks for thanks for hosting us this weekend, because it's just like what Mark talked about last weekend, US 13. Like, I get a lot of flack because we've added so many classes to our series. We have Junior Street now that only is going to get probably 5 to 8 cars, if that were was, but still, that's another thing on her. So, I get a lot of the people who have been around for 30, 40 years or so, like, oh man, you're ruining the series because you got 7 or 8 classes now and it's not fun anymore. And then, this, it's like that's the only way that we can these keep, keep them hosting us. Really, I mean, trust me, I would love to go back to having just super comp, super gas, and super street. Trust me, and the gray would probably be more filled in, and actually wouldn't be gray anymore because it's a lot less personalities to deal with. But
it
yeah,
looked like this.
but now we go from having 60 people, as 60 different personalities, to now 250 different personalities, and it's sometimes they pull you in different directions. I mean, sometimes you're trying to answer a question for one person, and then they're asking, this, and then it's just you're getting twisted around, like spinning around and stuff, but it's all part of what we do. But like it's sometimes just a thank you goes a long way. I mean, it really does. Just saying, hey, thanks for everything you do. I mean, because trust me. I mean, I had a long, 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 long uh off season of thinking of possibly throwing in the towel. You know,
I hear you. All right, so moving on to the next topic.
oh
I
boy.
promise this will be the last one, and it shouldn't be too bad.
Well, we're not approaching 8 o'clock, so Pete doesn't have to go to work, or doesn't have to go to sleep. So we're
Point, and I don't have to work tomorrow, so we
usually
can go till mid. We can go till midnight. I don't care.
done by now. So it's and he's
I got to do tonight is watch 2 episodes of Shrinking, and then I can go to bed.
shrinking. And
Oh my God, you got to check it out. It's on Apple TV.
yeah, I barely have time to watch TV.
Oh, so good. That in the pit. Well, I'm sorry. I'm making up for the time that you don't have.
Yeah, you obviously are because I
All right, so we've talked about everything else that you do with racing, but we haven't talked about what your plans for racing are this year. What do you and your dad got percolating in your brains?
well, it's going to be a pretty, we talk about this all the time, is it's going to be a limited probably schedule. I mean, the Division I schedule isn't, I wouldn't say great, but it's the doubles really, take away from weekends at the racetrack. And now, we don't really have a national event in Division I except for Epping. And, a lot of us don't want to,
Come on up.
huh?
Come on up. Come
Yeah,
on up.
I'm gonna stay at your house. um, but yeah, I mean, it's we'll go to Cecil for the division, or at least for me. I mean, my racing will be Cecil for the divisional and the sports nationals. We'll go to MIR for the double divisional there. New Media for their double divisional. Kind of see where we're at in points, and if worst comes to worst, we'll go to Rockingham at the end of the year for their double divisional that they got down there. So I mean, really, we've got about 4 weekends of racing. We do have on the schedule the IHRA race at Dragway 42 in Salem, Ohio, as part of just to go check out the IHRA thing. The unfortunate part is the two local races that they have. Galat, was in March, which happened to be on top of our banquet, so I couldn't go to that. And Virginia for me is just a little too early in the year. And I just mentioned that we just had early retirement for a lot of people at our company, so uh, wouldn't say we're short staffed, but we're pretty short staffed trying to train new people and such. We're also trying to take off for 3 or 4 days is pretty tough right now. So so that kind of takes Virginia out of the mix, and then Empire happens to fall on top of the media's double divisional. So that kind of hurts us going up to Empire for the IHRA race. So I mean, it's really it's going to be a very 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 light season. I hate saying, and then also the MIR's double divisional happens to fall on top of Norwalk's double divisional. And I do really good at Norwalk for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but I always seem to go 3 or 4 rounds at Norwalk and do pretty well there. And
The ice cream.
yeah, I don't really eat that. I happened to go to Norwalk the first year that they stopped doing. Everybody kept raving about the ice cream. You got to go for ice cream. You got to go for ice cream. And that happens to be the first year I go to Norwalk is when they started putting in the little pints rather than actually scooping it into
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the gigantic dollar things where it was, and then they raised the price. And I mean, it's okay, but I don't know. Maybe it's you know. So yeah, I mean, so the MIR double divisional happens to fall on the Norwalk double divisional, and then the Norwalk National is the weekend after, which is really shocking. I think they're only taking 50 or 55 cars in .90. So I mean, I have a grade 8, but it's going to be trigger fingers at 11 o'clock on whatever Wednesday that it opens up for you to get in. And, if we go to MIR one weekend, I'm not going right to Norwalk. I mean, if it was, I
A
just,
little time between. Yeah.
yeah, it was a little time in between, I probably would, or, we would do the double division at Norwalk and stay the week to do the national event. I would probably do that. But, it's just, I want to go to MIR. I want to support Royce because they are going to have a double divisional, and then we are going down the couple of weeks following for the series race. Fortunately, they're not going to have sportsmen at the national event there. So and then Michigan's not going to have sportsmen either. So it's if you want to run for a national championship, it's you're going to do some traveling this year. I know that much.
Now, with this being the first national event at MIR, have you considered it all just for the heck of it, jumping in the car and going down and checking out one day of it just because?
It's still a haul for him. It's still about it's still a good 5 hour drive. I mean, I know for some people, that's you get the people going, you guys up your way,
We'll leave at 3 a.m. and we'll roll in at like 9. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like driving as much as I used to like driving, and that's the weird part about things. I don't know if it's getting older or what. I just don't feel like driving as that because I think people are just drive like idiots anymore. So it's just, it ruins like the having, jumping in the car and going down there.
You're not driving for a year and being shuttled around everywhere I needed to go. I can unequivocally agree that people are absolute flipping psychos behind the wheel now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the accident I was in, I mean, the guy literally tried to come across 5 lanes of traffic, tried to come 5 lanes of traffic, or was it got T-boned. And then he decided, and then I was literally sitting in the stop sign, just literally sitting there, stop sign. And I'm there watching, and I'm like, is this really happening right now? Is this really, is this what's going on? And he got T-boned by a lady, poor girl. She was just got off of work, and wasn't paying any attention. It wasn't that she wasn't paying any attention. He just was hidden behind, he was hidden behind a whole bunch of line of cars. And he just, she was coming down doing 30 or it was, and boom, she T-boned him. And then he came over to me and he plowed in the front of me, and his whole front bumper went in the front of my car and pushed my engine back and broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, everybody looked at it on Facebook. They're like, oh, I can't believe they totaled that. Well, anymore,
Doesn't take much nowadays to
they
total out something.
don't want to fix anything. And that's the biggest part, and, even whatever they paid out, and to me for the total loss where it was, probably would have never paid for half the body work that had to be done. So, I mean, it was just, I hate, it was paid off. So that's the thing that sucks the worst, is now I get a car payment. But, it's just, fortunate, fortunate things that happen. But like, I mean, people drive like idiots and such, but it's just, I guess it's just the nature of the beast. So,
Yeah, people have gotten completely whacked out behind the wheel. There's no doubt about it now.
well, the thing is, everybody's in a rush. That's the biggest thing. Everybody's in a rush for whatever reason. They're not, they don't think they don't think about a lot of stuff anymore, and they just, they're constantly in a rush, and that's the thing, is like, it's like time doesn't generate, I guess, with their mindset, is that, what used to be is, hey, if I have to be to work at 8 o'clock, I leave, and I know it's a 25-minute ride. I leave my house at 7:15, knowing that it's I got a 20-minute window. Now it's like, if I had to be at 8 o'clock to work, and I know it's a 25-minute ride, I leave at 7:40, knowing that I'm not going to be there at 8 o'clock, but I'll just do 90 down the highway and hope I don't get pulled over. And that's like the mindset of these people anymore.
Like I always told Elijah, this obviously the parent in me coming out when he got his license. I said, come winter time, if it takes you 15 minutes to get to work, and when it's snowing, it's gonna take you 30. He's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I know.
yeah.
So
I'm always at work early. I'm always 15, 20 minutes early, or always, everybody's like, why are you here early? I'm like, because never know. Never know.
well, mom always told me if you're anything later than 15 minutes early to work, you're late for work.
Yeah.
So well, listen, be interested to hear what comes out in the news about what's going to happen with the Dutch. I do want to say that Steve Rhodes did make a couple comments.
Oh boy.
I said, "Come run with PDRA, run the bracket bash."
I know he's Mr. PDRA now.
Yeah, he had his first event with them this past weekend, and sounds like everything went really well. So congratulations to Steve. He's found a new home. Hopefully everything works out.
I think Steve's, we may see Steve appear at some Mid Atlantic races. I don't know. I mean, he's the chief pancake flipper, so
Paintball gun.
paintball gun with
Paintball gun.
pancakes.
No, with him. Side joke.
I was gonna say it must be a joke between you two with the paintball
Because
gun.
I told him I was going to chase him around one time with my paintball gun,
Ah,
but I was going to put pepper balls in it because that's just the kind of guy I am.
what else did he have to say?
Let's see. Bracket Bash. Oh, actually, Bob Gaetano. It took me over 50 years of point races and national event wins to win my first Wally.
Yep,
What a feeling that was.
yep. Bob won the Dutch.
Yeah. Backing up to the comment about the young lady that worked for D2, was partially directed towards management. Obviously there are three sides to every story. Rick Rawlinson, I think all wins are well earned. Like you said, this is a tough sport. Aaron Williams, he cherishes his dad's Wally. Let's see. Bob, again, lots of jealous people in the world. He's not wrong. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I wish we could all get along and everybody can be cheerful and happy and whatever else. I mean, I just think sometimes people got to realize that people make mistakes. People are human. People make, I mean, trust me. I mean, you lose stuff. You lose people's membership forms. I mean, it's just, it's just, I'm human. I mean, it's just, it's just craziness sometimes. With some people get so crazy about about things where it was about just about simple, just a simple little mess up. I mean, it's what they say. What's the saying about the glass stone, or the stone in the glass house? Don't
I
throw.
don't know. I don't know the exact saying.
Yeah, it's something about don't throw stones when you live in a glass house or something like that, because you know. But it's just, we're all human. We all make mistakes. Sometimes, I wish I could say everybody, every race. I mean, Steve will probably tell you. If Steve told you that, I mean, well, it's not for nothing. The PDRA race didn't go off the way that they hoped it did. I mean, they didn't, unfortunately, didn't finish because of cold weather and
No,
few accidents.
cold and darkness and whatever else it was.
I'm sure when they left Saturday night from Darlington, I mean, they were, probably dejected because, hey, we didn't finish the first race of the year. I mean, it sucks. I mean, it's a gut punch. I mean, it's one of those things. But you know what? The thing that people got to look at it as, the keyboard cowboys are gonna bash whatever they're going to. But you know what? Everybody went home safe. Yes, there was a few cars that got messed up or was, but every driver got out of it safely. They're all gonna live to see another day. They're gonna race in to see another day, or it was, and that's the most important part, is that the race will be finished that Thursday at Galat, and life goes on, But some people
Life is too short to work to. Life is too short to wear matching socks.
some people just hold stuff over top their heads you know for stupid reasons.
I mean, I am the king of grudges. I will not deny that ever.
I mean, we've never had a grudge before.
You and me had an issue, but I owned my screw up. I made it a point to call him and said, "Hey, look, when that whole thing happened, that was on me. There was more to the situation that people didn't know." And I explained it, and I looked, I through the phone said, "I'm sorry, I owe you that."
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the problem, is a lot of times people don't realize what's going on in other people's, in your own personal life.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too. Is there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and stuff that maybe you know everybody's got demons, unfortunately, and that's sometimes it's I take I take very good medicine for my demons. So
One more comment for Steve, and then we'll call it a night. Um, the incidents that you mentioned that happened in Darlington, none of them were track or weather related.
No,
He
no,
wanted to make sure that was crystal clear.
yeah,
It was just shit happens.
yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, you know. I mean, you know, but unfortunately, there's going to be somebody out there who's going to be like, oh, this, that, blah, 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 blah.
It was too cold. Why were they racing? It was too
Yeah,
dark. Why were they racing? The sun was setting from the west, not the east, and
the track,
whatever.
the track, they should have dug up the track and turned it 60 degrees so that this, you know, that the sun would set on the left hand side of the grandstands instead of the right hand side of the like. It's just sometimes, like I said, if if I remember tonight or tomorrow was I'm going to post that post from Bobby Bennett on the RNN website for you guys to read, and
Yep, please
it
do.
it you know it's the unfortunate part about social media. It's
Yeah.
I wish, honestly, I wish, like, I barely post on my Facebook anymore. It's I post on my own the Mid Atlantic sites or whatever it was. I barely post on my own personal site anymore. It's just because I get tired of little things. It's just I got bigger things to worry about than something that's getting posted on Facebook. So, but like I said, the important part is that everybody's going home from the PDRA race and such. So,
All right. Well, listen, we're gonna have. I talked to Marty last week or the week before, Marty Reinhardt Jr., and he will be joining us. We're trying to hammer out a date because he wanted to get a couple of events under his belt before he came on. We want to learn about IHRA.
yeah,
We want to know what, the inside scoop and, what he does and, his day-to-day responsibilities. And he was game for that. There's not going to be any NHRA, RH, IHRA political BS involved in the conversation. We're here to learn from Marty, and Marty is, I don't know him as well as a lot of people do, but Marty is a small book of knowledge.
yes. Marty has been, between him and his dad have been around drag racing for a very, very long time, almost as long as me and my dad probably even, they used to run super gas back in the day, and they converted over to super stock, and Marty's raced a whole bunch of other different cars too, in stock and super stock, and he's had multiple different hats. He's married to a stocker with Wendy, and he's got tons of knowledge, and I'm sure him coming on board will hopefully help you know open up the can as far as what IATRA is all about, what their goals are and stuff, because you know I think it'll be a good get Marty on there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it'll be since I've been doing this, I believe it would be the first time he's ever been on our show. So,
Yeah,
because you figure, I found that very first, I think I told you, I found that picture that Dave Smith took from the very first live show that we ever did with Jeannie Linky's help. Well, the former Jeannie Linky. She helped set it up and get everything and got us a room in the tower at Englishtown. Amanda was 18 years old, so 12 years ago.
yeah. When we were talking about the live shows. I think we were talking about the live shows.
Yeah, that you hosted at Englishtown as well.
I hosted, I think, the following year with the Top Sportsman guys, and I think I had
Yep.
Proctor, Fast Freddy, John Taylor.
Ronnie Proctor.
Yeah, I said Proctor.
Oh, you did. Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Fast Freddy, John Taylor. Uh, can't remember who else was possibly Mike. Maybe Mike Daniele. I'm not too sure, but that was that. And then I think you guys had another live show, possibly after that, maybe with Kelly and Amanda. Maybe I'm not too sure.
Yeah, there was some random ones that were done here and there, mostly at Lebanon Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, those are a lot of fun. I miss those. That might be once I get my head back about me. I might be something I have to dive back into. So now that we have live broadcast capabilities,
Yes. Yeah. Before then,
so
dial in. So we had, yeah,
well,
we,
listen, Rob. As always, actually, one more thing before you go. If people want to check out your series, where do they find you?
so we're on Facebook. We have 4 different Facebook pages for each different series. So you have the Mid Atlantic Stock Super Stock Series, you have the Mid Atlantic Junior Series, you have the Mid Atlantic Top 32 Association, and of course, the grandfather of them all, the Mid Atlantic .90 Association. But if you want to get them all under one umbrella, it will be www.midatlanticsuperseries.net. With the website, and we allow on the website to actually pre-enter for events if you would like to. For those of you who like to use credit cards for your racing expenses rather than having to do cash, so you have up to like a week before, just like a national event, where you go up to like the Friday before to pre-enter with a credit card, and then what happens is the money comes into my account, and then that goes, to me at the race, and then that gets paid because we pay you guys right back at the event. We don't like chasing you guys down or giving you guys checks or whatever else. So that so yeah, you're allowed to pre-enter if you would like to, and that would be www.midatlanticsuperseries.net, and you can
Very
find it.
cool.
We're also on Instagram. We have a TikTok somewhere along the way. We have X or Twitter or whatever it was somewhere, but I rarely ever update the TikToks or the it's too much. I mean, I just learned Chat GPT today, so that was enough for me. That was yeah.
All right, very cool, my friend. Well, like I said, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out. Obviously, I know we will be talking more as the season progresses. But thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks again.
You're very welcome. All right, Rob Keister from the Mid Atlantic Super Series, our guest tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, checking us out. Make sure to check out our Facebook page, check us out on YouTube, and I hope everybody has a fantastic night. We'll talk to you all soon.